But the first thought I had was basically a system where African developers come together to help develop software.
You're in the right place. Welcome to the Built in Africa podcast, where we connect trailblazers of the African diaspora through the unifying language of tech. On this episode, we spoke with Stephen Asamoah, UI UX designer and front-end developer at SynCommerce. Let's get into it. Launched in 2012 at MESS Africa, SynCommerce is a highly automated e-commerce solution that enables online merchants to manage their complete sales process across multiple marketplaces. In 2019, they released their second application, OrderSenta, another e-commerce solution which allows online merchants to process and fulfill orders from multiple sales channels in one place. Listen as Stephen discusses redesigning SynCommerce and building OrderSenta.
So I first joined this company, Maverick Technologies, in September 2017. That was actually my first tech job. They had this application called SynCommerce. So SynCommerce is an application that synchronizes orders and then products that you have on various platforms like Etsy, Shopify, eBay, and Amazon. Those are actually our main platforms, right? So at the time when I joined, they needed someone to do UI design and then front-end development. Now, once I joined, we were rebuilding the application. They had an existing one, but they wanted a fresh design, to give out to the users. So at the time since I was not that experienced, I was not tasked to do most of the engineering on the front end. I usually create wireframes and then create interactive prototypes from those. And then from there, we discuss as a team with the marketing department. And then once I am done, I build the HTML templates. And there's this other more experienced front-end developer who does the engineering on the side. In the latter part of 2018, we were partly done with the new SynCommerce application. And there were some technical challenges which were not on our side. They were more business, problems. So we had to halt that. But then there came this information that most of the new users were requesting that, SynCommerce synchronizes both your products, your orders, basically everything about your marketplace. But some of the users were requesting that we separate the orders aspect of SynCommerce and move it aside because that's only what they need. And they feel that paying for the entire SynCommerce application was more expensive, because they didn't need most of the features that the app gave. So we discussed it as a team, and then we decided to build that application as a separate module. Now, OrderSenta will only be able to synchronize your orders, help you create shipping labels for most of your orders, and then serve your clients and get feedback from there. That's basically all it does.
Shopify has nearly 4,000 different plugins on their app store. With intense competition amongst e-commerce plugin apps, having useful features isn't enough. Your application must also have a quality user experience. Listen as Stephen discusses designing OrderSenta.
If you take this application, for example, you go on Shopify, there are so many up there, and you simply have to be smart about the way you price your product and the way you go out, you design it. So I know my part is to design whatever the user sees and touches, you understand? So basically, I try to create an experience that with the smart pricing that we have, the user basically feels like they are getting so much for so less amount of money. So, and the second part also is that most of the users that we are attracting are not new to this e-commerce thing, right? Most of them have been on their respective platforms like eBay, Amazon, Shopify, and Co for really long. And time is money. I mean, coming to your app, if your application has a very high learning curve, most of them will shy away from it because they simply don't have the time to and the energy to invest to learn just your application when there's probably something else where that's much simpler to use. So I had an idea that we try to mirror the experience that they get on their other platforms, so that when they come and they join, they can basically do almost everything from muscle memory, because everything makes sense. It's what they know. So that really helped in moving fast when I started the development process. So several of what we did was discussed among the team, and then we simply went ahead with the development process.
UX design is the intersection of user needs, business goals, and constraints. And while knowing how to code isn't essential to a designer's role, to empathize with the developer who has to execute the design, having basic programming knowledge can help with understanding the technical constraints. Listen as Steven shares his thoughts on the benefits of designers knowing how to code.
So at first, I used to be really close-minded about that, right? I used to think if you are good at one thing, you have to be really good at it. But once I joined this ecosystem, I realized that, and this was during the very early stages when I started, that some features, when you are just a designer, you assume that some things should be possible, right? But once you actually start being technical about the whole thing and you start coding, you realize that I feel that it influences the way you design, because you basically are in the mind of the developer, right? You know what's possible and what's really not possible or too difficult to implement based on the time frame that you have to deliver. So I feel that designers can take up the challenge of being at the very least web designers, so that they can be able to have more meaningful conversations with developers when the time arises. And there's one other thing also that I believe, that if you're able to have this technical ability, it makes you more employable. That's what worked for me, because at the time I had learned design and some at that time I knew just JavaScript and HTML, CSS, right? But it's from looking in hindsight, I think it made me more marketable, because employers were more willing to take me in than someone who just did design, or by design I mean UI design and just web development. The team I joined were very small, so someone like me would be a good fit for them, because they are not having so many people to be doing separate things like UI, UX, graphic design, and then development at the same time.
And that's it for this episode. If you haven't already, check out the full article on our website, builtinafrica.io, found in the description. And while you're there, subscribe to our newsletter so we may keep you up to date with the latest. But until then, keep building.